When a person convinces themselves that they are a fixed product of either their current circumstances, their past, and their traumas, it could be a way for them to escape the weight of responsibility, either for their current actions or even their future actions. And that is not to say that there is absolutely no justification for what it is that they're doing, but it could be seen as a crutch given different circumstances. There's always nuance to it. But I believe when it pertains to Bruce Banner in the Immortal Hulk, there is some ways in which he exemplifies my first point. And we can take it through two ways. The first is the understanding of his history of blackouts, and the second is the use of death as an important theme in the Immortal Hulk. When it comes to Bruce Banner and his history of blackouts, we always see that it is consistent. We see that whenever the Hulk comes to the surface, he is unaware of what it is that Hulk is actually doing. So when he comes to the surface, he's always in a frazzled and confused state. That is consistent and that is obvious. But what is also consistent and obvious is Hulk doesn't seem to have those same blackouts. He's always aware of what it is that Bruce Banner is thinking, what he is doing while he's at the surface, and what he wants to do as a result of Bruce Banner's actions, whether he is at the surface or not. We see that exemplified in the Immortal Hulk. Hulk is more cunning and he's more conscious of what Bruce Banner is doing at the surface. And that actually helps to dictate what he does when he comes out at night, when he is the one at the surface. So, why is it not the same for both these people, for both these entities? I do believe that Bruce Banner is, in fact, not conscious when the Hulk is at the surface. But I lean to think that that is on purpose. I do believe that he's doing that or he's intentionally blacking out for two reasons. First is because he wants to hide behind the blackouts, that excuse, that alibi. He also wants to hide behind Hulk and the consequences of his actions. The second point is he wants to separate himself from Hulk. He wants that distinction to be as clear as possible. This is me. This is Bruce Banner. I can never hurt anyone. Even though the Hulk is a clear product of my rage and my anger, it is not me. I am not the one that is acting in this way. It is the Hulk. So he wants to maintain those distinctions. Meanwhile, Hulk doesn't really seem to care. Hulk is more understanding of the way they are interwoven, and he is not really worried about his own perception to people the way that Bruce Banner sort of is. Death is also an interesting theme in the Immortal Hulk. We understand death to be this sort of final call, at least to our own limited understanding and knowledge of death. And we understand that death sort of seals the product of who you have allowed yourself to become. There is no turning back from the realities of who you are once death comes knocking. However, in Immortal Hulk, Hulk refuses to let Bruce Banner die. Bruce Banner is continuously in a cycle of approaching death and then being revived by Hulk by morning. And that is because Hulk knows that Bruce Banner has unfinished business. Hulk knows that who Bruce Banner is portraying himself to be at the surface is not who he actually is. Hulk knows that because Bruce Banner is unable to tackle the realities of why Hulk exists in the first place, is the reason why he cannot allow him to die. In The Immortal Hulk by Ewing, we know that the product of Hulk being born is because of the abuse that Bruce Banner has had to endure as a child. And because of that, he not only had multiple personalities, being Hulk and being Bruce Banner, but Hulk himself was also split into different dimensions and different coping mechanisms to allow Bruce Banner to survive the abuse. So, as long as Bruce Banner continues to bury that reason within him, Hulk cannot allow him to die in good faith. So, we see that Bruce Banner is continuously having to bury those emotions and those ties between Hulk and his abuse deep within. We know that Hulk is a fear of Bruce Banner, but Bruce Banner has even a bigger fear, and that is the fear of his father. So, because he's unable to tackle that initial fear, he cannot tackle the fear of the Hulk, and he can therefore not resolve that open wound, and therefore he cannot die in peace like he wants to. So, what is the solution? In the Immortal Hulk, over the course of the comic book, we see that there's a slow unraveling, that there is a slow confrontation. Bruce Banner is forced to confront the Hulk, and he's also forced to confront the source of the Hulk, which is his abuse. Once he's able to confront those two things as one entity, being the one below all, he stops dying. He stops that cycle, and he stops having to confront either of those fears. In fact, while the book comes to an end, we see a sort of mutual understanding between both the Hulk and Bruce Banner. And while the Hulk cannot in itself escape, the Hulk cannot cease to exist. There is a commingling between those two entities. They become one body instead of two entities battling for one body, where one has to die for the other to live.